Hello, America. This is Dave, the bald guy. Putting the bald guy in baldguylimo.com. So I haven't been making videos as consistently as I like to. So what happened was I took a bite of something stupid. You know, it wasn't anything hard. It wasn't anything hard. It was like popcorn. And I chipped my tooth. It was horrible. I felt no pain. Just a piece of the tooth just came out. That's what happens when you get old. So I chipped this tooth, so I was really self-conscious about it. So, I got it fixed. I just got it fixed. So you can't even tell. It's actually, they did a heck of a job. So unless you're a dentist or taking x-rays, you can't even really tell it. This right there is made of something that's not my tooth. So anyway, I was kind of annoyed that my tooth was, and I didn't want to have my picture taken. And you know, the cool thing about this COVID is we get to wear masks out in public. But I actually was at the dentist today, and they did the whole cleaning and the whole everything. But they did a layer of whitening, and my teeth haven't looked this good in, you know, forever. You know, so I'm gonna be walking around like this with a mask under me. You see, I got a smile, but you can't tell. So anyway, yeah, I haven't done one of these in a while because I chipped my tooth, and I'm really vain. I'm so vain. I really thought that song was about me. So I decided to sort of hold off on the videos for a bit and just sit here. So with that said, now that the summer's over and we're almost in November, aren't we? Man, I'll tell you, the first part of this year just crawled, and then as soon as the summer ended, man, it's just going by like that, for me at least. I can't say for anyone else. COVID has killed my limousine business. I've had 3 clients since February. Fun times, I suppose. But I want to get back to the talking a little bit about the prepping. And a lot of this has to do with the TV show that I recently just discovered actually existed. When I discovered this show existed, my kids were all like, "Dad, this show's been on for years. You haven't watched it before?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't watched it before. You know, I have a life. I'm out working and feeding my kids and such, you know? And I am not very hip in the first place. I mean, let's face it. I'm not very hip." But there's a show on the cable TV called Alone. And the gist of it is they take someone and literally drop them off in the middle of nowhere. And they have to film themselves on the cameras just like this. They have to film themselves building their shelter, catching their food, setting their traps, and all this and all that. And I found it really fascinating. You know, the first season that I watched, I think it was season 6. And I was like, this is really fascinating because in a way, this is kind of showing what would happen in an SHTF situation if you have to bug out and go someplace and survive and you don't really have a lot of equipment. This is an interesting social experiment for me. My cat's meowing because she wants me to feed her food that I just fed her anyway. Oh man, she drives me nuts. So, the thing I thought was really fascinating, if you look up the show on Wikipedia and you look up the descriptions and all this of each season, it'll give you a description of each season. It'll tell you exactly what each contestant actually, or survival of a person who's alone or whatever, exactly why they either tapped or what their major accomplishment hurdle was to get over. So each one basically gives up for whatever reason. Sometimes one guy fell and broke his ankle. What are you going to do? I mean, you can't be laying out there in the middle of the woods with a broken ankle. You're going to call someone for assistance. Okay? One person, a few people had lost too much weight. They lost too much weight and they got pulled out for their own health, for their own safety. Okay? So, you know, it kind of makes sense. Almost half, pretty darn close to 40%, tapped because they miss their family. Now think about this. I have said for years, bugging out should not be plan A, it should be plan B. But everybody talks about oh, I've got this, I can survive on this food, I can survive with because I got this stuff for water, and I can survive because I got all this ammo. No one ever talks about the mental game. Now, ideally, you're going to be bugging out with your family. But that may not be possible. That may be difficult if you're separated, if someone passes away, and so on and so forth. Another thing I like to mention is that the reason bugging out is necessarily not a great idea. I think that's a double negative. The reason you might want to consider staying with a group, staying in a suburban environment, staying relatively close to the city. And I will speak from experience on this one. I had my first heart attack when I was 42. I had a widowmaker. See, I was that guy who was stupid and smoked for 20 years, and it caught up with me. Quit smoking after that, which was the best thing I could have done. But almost a year to the day later, I had a second heart attack, much more mild. 6 months after that, another one was kind of starting, and my doctors and I both caught it before it even got anywhere near serious. And they looked at me and said, you know what, let's just give you the double bypass and be done with it. There are so many people out there who think, I can bug out to the woods, I can bug out to the lake, I can bug out over here, I can bug out over there, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I know first aid, I can make a splint in case I fall and break my arm. If you have a heart attack, somebody in your family has a heart attack, someone in your family has a stroke, someone in your family has a seizure, something, what are you going to do? Are you going to make a splint for that heart attack? Because I guarantee you, I almost died in the back of an ambulance. I guarantee you that if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have a heart attack, you're dead. I got lucky because I happen to live kind of close to a hospital. So getting there was not the end of the world. I got really lucky, and I lived close to a hospital. When it was all over, the doctor walked in and said, congratulations, you just survived the widowmaker. You got really lucky. Because most people who have this type of heart attack that I had, they don't make it. They don't survive the ambulance ride to the hospital. I got lucky. So bugging out in the middle of nowhere is not all it's cracked up to be. And the other thing we want to talk about is the mental game. You've got all these people on a TV show whose the grand prize is the last person standing is $500,000 in cash. So after taxes, close to maybe $300,000. It's good money. It's good money. Buy yourself a nice chunk of land, build a bomb shelter underneath, put a house on top, and you and your family are set. That's something you can give to your family if you pass away of a heart attack in the middle of nowhere. The mental game is something nobody ever addresses. After a while, you're like Tom Hanks talking to that volleyball, Wilson, on the middle of an island. And you're going to do that just to keep your sanity. Oh, I don't like being around people. Well, you say you don't, and then what happens when you're the only person around for 100 miles or so? What are you going to do? So give that some thought. What are you going to do as far as that mental game is concerned? Even when you're with your family and you're in an area and you're secluded and there's nobody around. You ever see The Shining? I mean, after a while, it'll get to you. You're just as human as everybody else. You like to sit there and think, oh, I'm so strong-willed, I've prepared. Give it some thought. Give it some consideration. The mental game, there's nothing more damaging than that voice in the back of your head telling you things that you don't want to hear. Anyway, that's it for me for today, bugging in should be your first priority. Bugging out should always be plan B. Remember that. I hope you're getting ready for the winter time. We are in the process of deciding what solar battery we're going to be purchasing in case the power goes out sometime in the winter time. Up here in Portland, it doesn't snow all that much, at least not like when I was a kid. But we want to have something so that we can run some electrical devices here at home. I've got portable propane stoves and such, so as far as food's concerned, we're fine. I've got 100 gallons of water stored on the property, so we're fine as far as that's concerned. So we're trying to figure out what's a good way of keeping the heat and my wife's CPAP machine so she can breathe when she sleeps. So we're going to be doing that. The other thing is I'm getting the RV ready to bug out around Election Day, which is, as I record this, under a week. Again, I'm not anticipating any issues, but I don't trust good old boys and their guns. The people in Malala up here, seriously, if you knew them, you'd know what I meant. Doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. It's not a happy place to be. Be that as may, I hope everything's going well. I hope to talk to you next week, and I hope I gave you something to think about. You have a great day. We'll see you then.